All right, what is going on? How y'all doing out there in Uncle Steve's Lounge on YouTube? Don't forget to subscribe, folks. Trying to get to 1,000 before this football season. Tell your friends they want to hear some good Atlanta Falcons talk, sports talk. Anyway, just push the button there, push the like button for the video. Also, to my great friends in Atlanta Bird Gang, good to have everyone here on this Sunday, July 24th. And I'll tell you what, I've been off the air for a little bit. Unfortunately, the great COVID has caught up with your unk. I have basically been kind of isolated down here in the basement away from the family for a little while. I feel much better, but if that's the case, I've heard this is my second bout going through it. First couple of days are just going on, but then you kind of get better. But I took another test, and I was hoping I would have been negative, so I can get back to church and get back to work and everything like that. But still showing positive at the moment. So hopefully within the next 24 hours, we can get the go ahead so I can hang with my family again and be able to do some things. And more importantly, interact with you all about what's going on this season. More importantly, what is going on with our Atlanta Falcons. Just so cool to be able to speak with you all again. My brother Tidy was on earlier. I'll piggyback on a couple of things he's talking about as well, but just kind of a cool thing to get a chance to interact with everybody. I'm trying to get myself on the right thing here. There we go. I see your comments, and for some reason, I'm trying to get my comments here. Let me get my comments going down here. I'm trying to post them. For some reason, it's not posting them, but I see you anyway. TJ, what's going on? How you doing? Lisa, what's going on? Say, hey, Steve, training camp is here this week. Let's see what we're working with. Go Falcons. That's what I say. Training camp coming up this week. Excited to see what we have with the team. First real opportunity. There is an event on Monday, August 15th. I plan to be there for that, where it's going to be open to the public. I think they're selling tickets now. So if you get a chance to do that, y'all check it out and see. Sinqua, what's going on? Said media doubted the Braves, Hawks, and Bulldogs. Yeah, y'all see the title that I have down here. The title is just talking about the media, man. ESPN and all the other national sports outlets, they're coming out with all of their things about let's rank the offensive group. Let's rank the defensive group. Let's rank this. And the Falcons are getting zero love. I think Tidy was speaking today about the Madden ratings, which are probably the only spotlight that we have. Got a couple of players that are highly ranked. But other than that, there's just not a lot of love for our Falcons. So does that bother me? Yes and no. I mean, as a Falcon fan, you want your team to be respected. You want your team to be talked about in a high light. But at the same time, I guess everyone's not going to recognize you. And that's fine. And sometimes you got to ride alone. What's going on, Melvin? Melvin talking to us on Uncle Steve's Lounge. How you doing, brother? For my YouTube comments are coming up. For some reason, my Facebook comments aren't coming up, but I still see you over here on the side, just like my brother Killian. How you doing, my friend? How's it going this evening? I am doing fine. As I said again, on the other side of COVID, still trying to get off of this positive test so I can get back into the land of the living. But, you guys, when you get it, man, take it seriously. Take it seriously. Isolate yourself. Don't give it to your family members. It's kind of hard not being able to hug and kiss people that are about 15 feet away from you. But at the same time, y'all just be safe with this stuff, man. Uh, Said the media will always hate on the A, but we in this to win it. Absolutely. Lisa said, "Take care of yourself. It's all good." And I actually feel much better. Those first couple of days, and like I said, this is my second go round with it. The whole family got pretty much wiped out right around the holidays last year, leading up to New Year's, and it was a little bit. It wasn't as bad this time. This time it kind of gave me a little 1-2 punch this go round. I had a couple of days there where it was kind of, but I appreciate the good wishes. Kelly says, glad to hear you're feeling better. Lisa said, yes, tickets for the open practice at the Benz are on sale for the event on August 15th. I will be there. Lord willing, me and my kids, and I don't know, my wife might get off in time. Hopefully she will. But I have tickets for at least 4, so hopefully we'll get a chance to do that. She also says, I'm okay with us being the underdogs, hoping we prove the prognosticators wrong. And that's one of the things that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit. When you hear that as a fan, I think there's a way to look at it. It's almost like that one thing where they say, well, nobody's expecting you to do anything. So, why not shock the world? I remember in 2008 when, all the Mike Vick stuff was going on and there was nobody giving us any opportunities. We made a couple of signings. We got Michael Turner, but we got to have a new quarterback. We had Matt, the rookie, going up against the veteran who didn't get a chance in Chris Redmond. And we know how that ended up turning out in 2008. Now, granted, I'm not suggesting Desmond Ridder is Matt Ryan, nor is Matt Ryan Desmond Ridder. So who knows? Desmond Ridder might be more athletically skilled. I don't know. But can he, in this short period of time, be able to grasp the speed of the game in time to lead our Falcons into some prosperity this year? I'm hoping he does. And even if he's not, Marcus Mariota, yes, journeyman, yes, a backup in the Raiders for the last couple of years. But listen, I'm not sitting back thinking that he's like, oh, well, this is just a backup job. They're not paying me, so I'm not going to go out here and perform. I think this is his last hurrah. When you start thinking about the number 2 overall pick back in 2000, was that 15 or 16? And now, you're battling a third round pick to be the starter on the team. There's got to be some pride in Marcus Mariota, where I think he's gonna actually try his best to bring his A game. And who wouldn't? I mean, this is his opportunity. So as far as that's concerned, I think he's gonna, try his best. I don't think he's gonna just lay over and just roll over and play dead. But yeah, we'll see. Sinqua says there's so many unknowns. And that's the one thing. I don't know whether you can have that as negative or positive. We have no idea whether this offensive line is going to improve. We have no idea whether year 2 of Dean Peay's defensive scheme is going to work. We have no idea whether any combination of this quarterback decision making that we have, as far as who it will be, we have no idea whether that's going to work out. Is our running game going to improve with the wide receivers we brought in this year? I mean, we're going to have new receivers on this team that are starting this year. So the only good thing about that is we have new quarterbacks that are starting this year too. So par for the course. Defensively, are we going to show up? Can AJ Terrell continue his trajectory of being one of the top 5 cornerbacks in the NFL? So many unknowns, as he's saying. But that can be a good thing too, because the other teams don't know what they're going to go against either. Pretty sure the other teams are sitting back saying, "Oh man, Falcons. Matt Ryan's gone. They're not going to do anything, whatever." And that's kind of one of those things I love. I love to be underestimated. I love when people, don't give me, a true chance. So when people underestimate me, that's when I rise to the occasion. And I think when you start talking about this 2022 Falcon team, there is no one picking them to be successful this year. I'm getting ready in a little bit, in the next few minutes, let you all look at the new Athlon football book that came through for me this week. I read you all the Lindy's book from a couple of weeks ago, and they had us finishing last. I'll let you know what this one is. Big spoiler, is not going to be too much difference. But yeah, just to look, we got a fighter's chance to win every game, I think, this year. Yes, we're going up against the Rams. Yes, we're going up against Cincinnati. Yes, we're playing a couple of tough teams down the road, but you absolutely have nothing to lose this year. You really don't, because nobody thinks you're going to do anything anyway. And from a fan standpoint, think about the optimism we've had over the last few years from people telling us that because we had the great veteran quarterback in Matt Ryan, that we were going to always have an opportunity to win. And the last few years, we keep getting disappointed and disappointed. I'm not saying it's 100% Matt's fault. All I'm saying is now there is some newness. There's some freshness. There's some what if. There are question marks about what's going forward. And from a fan standpoint, yeah, it's scary, but it's also kind of fun. It's good to see. It's going to be fun for me to see these guys battling for jobs, the wide receiver jobs. Who's going to end up starting on day one? How is this defensive line going to shape out for us? Who's going to be the signal caller this year for the Atlanta Falcons? A lot of people have already penciled in Mariota. Who knows? A lot of people penciled in Chris Redman in 2008. Who knows how this thing is going to turn out? So I'm excited as a fan. I really am. Killian says nowhere to go but up. Oh, I'm sorry. Nowhere to go but up from here. Absolutely. Anthony, how you doing, sir? Say, what's up, bro? Steve, man, I like the unknowns better than all the knowns we had the past 4 years. Rise up. That's my philosophy, man. I'm kind of like, I like it that you have some things you don't know about. I guarantee you there are going to be one or two surprises that we had no idea is going to happen, whether it be one of the journeyman wide receivers that we picked up, whether a couple of our defensive guys end up having bigger years than expected. Is there going to be some type of huge improvement on the offensive line that we're not expecting? Something is going to shock us along the way in a positive way, in my opinion. And that's what I'm going to keep leaning on. Brian, how you doing? Said we have nothing to prove to anyone. We only need to prove ourselves. Absolutely. I agree with that. Just go and do your best and show up. You're going to have the biggest stage on game one. This is probably, in my opinion, this first game, September 11th, Sunday at 1 p.m. is probably going to be as far as a professional football game, is going to be the most crowded, probably since we opened the Mercedes-Benz up, because we haven't had anything the last 4 years to fill it up for. Even the New Orleans Saints rivalry hasn't been enough to fill it up. But this year, I think because of probably the unknowns with both of our teams, that dome is going to be exciting. The tailgates are going to be off the chain. And we're about, 6 weeks away? So this is going to be awesome. I think it's going to be really good. Sinqua says, I'm looking forward to seeing the defensive rookie of the year being in a Falcons jersey. I can believe that. I think AK has an opportunity to really do some things. So hopefully he can get in the mix and get us about 8 or 9 sacks. All starts Falcons. Hey, what's going on? Said we need to beat the Saints. Don't care how we get it done. And I'm in that same boat. Listen, y'all. I think this year, more than anything else, I don't think we need to worry about style points. I don't care. I'm not concerned if our quarterback is in the top 10 QBR. I'm not concerned if our quarterback is in a top 5 fantasy quarterback. I don't care if Drake London doesn't lead the league in yards. Touchdowns is another thing. But I don't care about all of that. I honestly don't care if our defense ranks 20th as long as we play solid. Things like that just lead to solid wins. Just, making one more play than the other team to get us in the W column. That's what's up with me. That's where I am right now. It's all about fresh. We're turning a page this year. And as a fan, I don't know how you can't get excited about that. I don't see how you can. Dexter says the negativity doesn't bother me at all, just my opinion, but this is going to be a rough year. I do think we will compete, but I see this as a 5 to 7 win team. The future is very bright, especially with the cap space heading into 2023. And again, Dexter, I'm not trying to sit here and sell you magic beans, sir. I realize we have some big holes to fill on this team. This is a very young team. There's a lot of inexperience on the defense. We have some question marks about who's going to literally take the ball from the center this year. Our wide receiver experience is going to be pretty much nil. Our running back situation is not totally figured out. I'm sure they don't plan on Cordero running every play. I'm sure they don't plan on him running the ball 300 times this year. So, yeah, there are a lot of question marks. And I'm not criticizing anyone who thinks we might have a rough time, because that probably is an accurate statement. It could be. But to start something new sometimes, almost like if you may be starting a company or maybe start stuff, you got to start from the ground up. Things aren't going to just jump straight to the top in year one all the time. It's just nice to be able to see something start from the ground up again in this franchise. I think we were in a stale place for the last 4 years. 7-9, 7-9, 4-12, 7-10 is a stale place. And I think while it's no huge fault about it, but it does feel good to actually see different people, different places. Again, what are we down to? Grady and Dion and Jake, the last of the Super Bowl roster that's still here. And an asterisk by Dion's name. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So, who knows? Get back up here. Killian said we could have a rookie of the year on either side of the ball. That's right, because Drake could do it too on the offensive side. That would be lovely. Wouldn't it be nice if Algiers would scare some people, get about 700 yards, 9 or 10 touchdowns? I would love it. Love it. Rusty says, week 1, 2 words, tone setter. Rusty, there has never been a better 2 words. It's set that you will set the tone not only for your own season, but what these fans will think of you. I don't think there's anyone that's going to fool themselves into thinking that they're going to beat the Rams in week 2. But that first week here at home against your arch rivals, fast forward. Rewind back to last year. And while, yes, it was a new regime and, there was a thought that Arthur Smith could revitalize Matt Ryan and all of this stuff. And we fell flat. I mean, flat against the Eagles last season in a season opening game at home. Now, as a Falcon fan, and you don't have to have season tickets to know uh, how flat it was in that dome, but I'm sitting here to try to tell you it was flat. And to have a visiting team on opening day come in and take over your dome and make you look so bad, that's probably one of the most embarrassing feelings to have. And so, guess what? In turn, the next home game was a little emptier. The next home game was a little emptier. And the ratio from home team to visitor, while the first week Falcons were a little bit high and Eagles were about right here, by the time we got to the middle of the season, it was kind of like this. I think the only team that I see that didn't come in super strong, and they actually came in stronger than I thought, was probably Detroit. Every other team that came in there strong, whether it was New Orleans, whether it was Detroit, not Detroit, whether it was Philly, whether it was AFC team. I'm just thinking right off the head, but everybody came in strong. Carolina, just yeah. Ballstar says the defense was making strides at the end of the year. We could surprise a few teams at first, but our midseason adjustments will make the difference. Absolutely. And again, this is Arthur Smith. Don't think Arthur Smith isn't thinking about last year. The difference between last year and this year, his starting quarterback will have played a preseason game. So we'll have the feel of what's going to be going on in that first game or two. Unlike last year, remember we sat everybody because it was only 3 games, and I guess they wanted to give the veterans preference to Matt and all that good stuff. But yeah, I didn't like that at all. Addie says, Steve, this will be your opportunity to stop through the Goats tailgate area. It's going to be fire, brother. Yeah, I'm going to have to make my way through. I know pre-pandemic we used to kind of stop through. I had a couple of buddies that used to do some things down there. So yeah, this will definitely be a year. Hopefully this little mini COVID comeback is not going to affect some things. I don't think it will. I think we're in a much better place now. But yeah, that most definitely I have to get up with you and see where you guys are. Second one says Super Mariota does don't have to be accurate or great with this basketball team we drafted, signed, and recruited. Just looking forward to the improvement on the offensive line and the defensive line. That's absolutely true. And I said this before. My son and I went to the practice that got rained out, and we saw the wide receivers run out there, and it's just like he said, man. It almost looked like a basketball team coming out there to play. And not to say I've never seen height on receivers before, because you're used to seeing Julio out there. But no, man, these are some trees. Everybody he got out there was 6'3" and above. So there's something in that makes me think that they're going to try to do some, different things with those receivers. Maybe a little few more jump balls. Maybe just being able to body up on these cornerbacks or something we didn't have over the last. When you think about Calvin Ridley is not super tall, Russell Gage not tall, OZ's not tall, Frank Darby's not tall. Just thinking about what those extra 3 or 4 inches that you might need for some of these jump balls you have. Martavius, what's going on, my friend? Good to see you in the house. I know I saw you up there, man. Vince McMahon, man, resigned WWE. That is crazy, man. I never thought I would see today, but yeah, that's pretty crazy. I have to talk to you offline about that going on. Going back to what I did want to talk about, and that was this one post that my friend Brandon Marshall, who is, which is funny to me because he makes me laugh, because I think Brandon is a slight troll, in a certain way. But I had to share this because I thought he was a little off base with this comment, and I was going at it all day. So let me show y'all what I got. So Brandon came out yesterday and he said, y'all's blind faith in Mariota is a bit puzzling. He is injury prone, inconsistent, and a journeyman. But he's supposed to have some renaissance and be what he never was. LMAO. And I don't ever have a problem with opinions. I think as long as we can talk about it constructively, that's fine. I don't ever mind being on the other side of what somebody thinks. I think what bothered me about this particular part, especially calling yourself being in a fan group, because I don't know, Brandon kind of borderline trolls a little bit, so I kind of have to be careful because trolls like to have control of the situation. But when he says blind faith, and that was one of the things that I argued with him, that fans have blind faith. That's what fans do. If you look at most of the comments we talked about this year, we're talking about how Drake London should get 10 to 12 touchdowns, how AK should have double-digit sacks, how AJ is going to become the next Deion Sanders, how Troy Anderson is going to revolutionize the middle linebacker position. Or the inside linebacker position. So we all, to a certain extent, as fans, have that blind faith that the athlete is going to max out and perform to the top of his ability. I don't think anybody is denying that Mariota is injury prone, that he's inconsistent, and a journeyman. True, he lost his job to Ryan Tannehill. Nobody's denying that. But I guess I'm saying coming into this year, I feel a little bit different about this and maybe the Josh Rosen situation, where Josh Rosen was on his 4th or 5th team. With Mariota, when he went to the Raiders, he knew he was going to be the second string. And he stayed there solidly and got a chance to get in a couple of games and, whatever. So I don't think we're fooling ourselves into thinking he's going to be the next coming of Tom Brady. But of course, we're going to have some type of confidence in him that hopefully he can come through and do the job. I think as fans, you can't sit there and act like you think. Let me scratch. You can't not have some type of unrealistic expectations for your team. Everybody who's in Buffalo right now, after seeing that performance in Buffalo and Kansas City, thinks that Josh Allen is probably going to throw for 6,000 yards, run for 20 touchdowns, and throw for 40. Because you saw all that talent on display. Anybody who's seen Derrick Henry sans his injuries is thinking he's going to run for 2,500 yards this year. That's a fan. That's what we do. But for you to tell people not to believe or not to think, I think that's just kind of weird to me. There's something slightly strange. I don't know. And that could be me. Maybe that's me. I just think that's crazy. Daniel, what's going on? Daniel says, I'll take Mariota as a passer over Cam. Yeah, I'm not taking Cam in anything. So that's crazy. Gator, what's going on? Augusta Gator, say good afternoon. Let's go Falcons. Says, trying my best to get back to training camp this year. There used to be a guy named Stats that would always be there. Yeah, they have a couple open dates up there, Gator. As a matter of fact, if I got the website here, I'll pull it up in a quick second. up there in Flowery Branch. But then they also have the one that's going to be in Mercedes-Benz Stadium on the 15th. So if you get an opportunity to do that, try to get out there too, Gator, because that should be some good stuff too, man. I always appreciate you joining us on YouTube, brother. Good to have you. But yeah, man, I'm just saying, blind faith. Everybody has blind faith. I got another one, and Gator. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to bring this up, Gator, so don't get mad at me. So I also got the college football thing this year. Georgia fans for years and years and years and years and years and years and years had blind faith in everybody from Ray Goff to Jim Donnan to Mark Richt. And until finally Kirby was able to take them to the promised land. But you had the blind faith that your quarterback would max out. You thought Matthew Stafford was going to be a much better college quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He had all the intangibles, but he could never win the big game in college. Not all his fault, but, you know, DJ Shockley had what it took to get them to the SEC championship and take them to the Sugar Bowl, but wasn't good enough to win those games in between to get them to the national championship game. Those type of things that, you know, fans will have that blind faith. That's what a fan does, in my opinion. What is a fan supposed to do? Not believe? What am I supposed to do this year? I don't want Cordero to get 10 touchdowns again this year, and I'm supposed to be more realistic. I mean, I want to be as honest as I can about what I see on the field. If I see an offensive line that's allowing a lot of sacks, I'm going to say the offensive line played bad. But during this little period between March and July, when hope springs eternal, that everything is going to go right, you're going to have those thoughts that, hey, nothing can go wrong. So, of course, I think Mariota is going to throw for 3,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. Of course I do. I'm a fan. That's what fans do. We sometimes have higher expectations. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's the problem. I think a lot of people want to be analysts, and they want to be the breakdown person. They want to be the skill set says this and blah, 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 blah. And that's fine. And if you want to do that, that's cool. Knock yourself out. But I also say, I think there's just something where if I'm in a stadium watching my Atlanta Falcons and my quarterback comes on the field, I didn't care who it was. I want them to win. And I don't see anything wrong with, you know, wanting my team to win despite the quarterback not being the most talented. That could happen. Daniel, what's going on? Daniel says, I got to ride through the tough times to get through the great times as fans. In the year Philly won the bowl, the year Philly won the bowl, people said they had no shot after Wentz did down. That's a very good statement, because remember, Carson Wentz, the same Carson Wentz that has been thrown to Indy and now thrown to the Commanders, the same Carson Wentz, y'all can laugh if you want to, Carson Wentz was going to be the MVP that year. And deservedly so. Carson Wentz was balling before he got hurt. And I don't know whether the injury ended up kind of taking him down another path, but yeah, you're right. And when we played Philly, when we went up to Philly, especially after kind of mildly upsetting the Rams in LA, when we went to Philly, there were a lot of people thinking we were the favorites. Because remember, we were also the defending NFC champions. Nobody thought Philly was going to have especially Nick Foles? Come on, man. But sometimes you got to have blind faith. Absolutely. Montavia says, question for you. I love Desmond Ritter's pick, But I'm looking at next year's quarterback class. It's loaded. Do you think we should have waited until next year's draft to get our guy for the future? Martavis, I say this again, and I said it before, I'll say it again. We should have got our quarterback last year. As much as I even have my little number 8 Kyle Pitts jersey and love what he's going to do with us for the future, I absolutely believe that we should have made that move last year. Had we made that move last year with the quarterback, we'd be 1 year into, I don't know what you call it, rebuild, restructure, restore, whatever, revitalizing. We would be 1 year into that now, as opposed to somewhere in purgatory of maybe we're rebuilding, maybe we're retooling. I think more rebuilding, but I think we should have done that last year. Now, to answer your question, the results of this season are gonna tell the tale for next year. Think about it. Next, if we end up losing 10 to 11 games, we're gonna be a top 10. We're gonna have a top 10 pick. They're already saying about at least 4 quarterbacks are probably going to go in the top 10 to 15 next year. So if the unfortunate happens and we end up having to go back into the pile, cool, we can do that. And remember, with the enormous amount of cap space that we have next year, we can easily make some adjustments and make some moves. There's a part of me that was almost wishing Lamar Jackson may not sign with Baltimore, but I think they're not going to have a choice. Baltimore's going to have to sign Lamar pretty soon, because if they don't sign him, Lamar will be a free agent, and it's not going to be a lot of teams that have the money to sign him. And yeah, I'm not trying to say Lamar is the number 1 quarterback in the league, but it dang sure in the top 10. But to answer your question, yeah, I guess I could think about going into next year, but I'm not gonna right now. Let's ride and see what these guys are gonna do. Let's ride and see what Mariota / Ritter is gonna do this year. Daniel says, can't judge any team based on names on a paper. Got to see it on the field first. You sound like John Harris. That's a quote said by him. Jeremy says, negative wishful thinking. Yeah, we don't like that. Simple says, always wondered if Wentz would have beat the evil empire in 2017. That would have been interesting to see. I think because Philly kind of had that chip on their shoulder, and let's not pretend like Philly didn't have a defense either now. Carson Wentz was balling, but Philly's defense that year was also on another level. So it wasn't all the Nick Foles and the Philly special and all of that. They had a really nice defense to help brother Nick Foles along too. Daniel says, next offseason we have the money to spend. Absolutely we do. Absolutely. So that's why I'm saying, yeah, the perfect scenario, and I've said this before for those who haven't heard, the perfect scenario for me would be for Ritter to win this job. And the reason I say that is for a couple of reasons. Financially, we can get out of Mariota's contract after this year. We can cut him and have nothing to pay for him. So if you let Ritter get in, and I hear people, oh, you let Ritter get under that offensive line, he's going to get beat up and all that. Now, but you know what? You're also going to see if he's a player or not. He could turn out to be Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts isn't super great, but he has them winning, and he has them in games. And if you have Ritter and he continues to develop, think about what Philly doing up there. Jalen is almost the same situation. Jalen Hurts was a second-round pick. So they're not paying him these $30 to $40 million quarterback salaries. So as Jalen hopefully improves and the team improves with him, they have the ability to pay for all the other positions they need to surround him or whoever comes in as quarterback with a solid foundation. The Falcons in the same situation. If Ritter turns out to be the guy, he just signed his contract. What, $5 million contract, $1 million signing bonus, 4 years. Come on, man. That is nothing. So you have the ability now in the next couple of years, if Ritter shows promise, you have the ability to build a team around him. Now, say for instance, if things don't work out and Mariota ends up being your best bet and you still struggle, it could still be the same thing. Now you go back into the pot and you go draft one of the other quote unquote great quarterbacks coming out. You're still not paying them an enormous amount of money. You're not paying them Kyler Murray money or Josh Allen money or what's soon to be Lamar Jackson money. You're not paying them that. And you still have the rest of that money to maneuver around. And remember, we have the chip of our DraftKings buddy, Calvin Ridley, who's probably still talent-wise worth a first-round pick next year at a very reasonable $11 million salary. So all those things being said, I think we just got a lot to deal with. So I want to see how this season turns out. Those are some good questions for the offseason. But let's see how this thing plays out before we get too far. Rick, what's going on, Rick? Rick says, I think we are good with our quarterbacks because we have a good rookie and a veteran at the same time. And Rick, I think in this case, though we haven't seen Ritter on a professional level, they might bring out the best in each other. You know, if you're Mariota right now, even if you're penciled in as QB1, that dude right there behind you got the hype. Dude got a commercial already. So you have somebody that's behind you, ready to take the job that you allegedly came in here to have. So Ritter is soaking in everything from you. You're mentoring to him, and he's trying to take your job. You don't think that's going to push Mariota to do even more? This is a different situation in Vegas. Derek Carr was the quarterback. There was no debate. So you knew your thing was to sit back and hold the Microsoft Surface until Derek came to the sideline. In this situation, you are literally battling for your quarterback future, for your football future, which in turn could be your financial future. So from Mariota's standpoint, you have to ball. And who gets the advantage of all of this? We need to show our best? The Atlanta Falcons. Because they have two quarterbacks, even if skill set may not be the greatest in the world, but you have two quarterbacks that are going to fight like heck to start that game against New Orleans on September 21st. On September 11th, I'm sorry. Daniel says, if we're being honest, we didn't see the 2016 Falcons coming after the wheels came off at the end of 2015. Started undefeated and then lost multiple games to finish 8-8, if I'm not mistaken. Absolutely correct, but the difference in that situation was the constant was the same, Daniel. Matt Ryan had just come off of signing that contract in 2013. He wasn't going anywhere. He was on his first big contract playing those games. So when you talk about coming out of nowhere, it's a little bit different. Matt Ryan spoiled, to a certain extent, the Atlanta Falcon fan base because he brought us winning on a clip that we weren't used to. So when he came out of the box, 08 winning, 09 winning, 10 winning, 11 winning, 12 winning, Falcon fans didn't know what to do. We were like, oh, Lord, we ain't never seen this before, let alone back-to-back, 5 years in a row. And then we had the 2 down seasons, the 03 season and the 14 season. And yes, with Dan Quinn, that was, where you can kind of say you didn't know what you were expecting. But then again, you did. You still had Julio. You still had Matt. You still had Roddy. So it wasn't that much of a, huge shock that the Falcons had the ability to win. This situation right here, we have been stripped bare. This team has no resemblance at all to the Dan Quinn era whatsoever. What is that? What I just said? 3 players left? You had no, it doesn't resemble it at all. So you can't in my opinion, it's not a great comparison. I see where you're going, but it's not a great comparison to me. Jermaine says, I hope Ritter doesn't have us thinking he's the Riddler with all these marks around, with these question marks. Yeah, I hate when people start write his name as the Riddler and stuff. I say, yeah, because Riddler, and sometimes you don't know if they're trying to be funny or not, or y'all actually can't spell. So the man's name is Ritter. But no, that's funny, Jermaine. Daniel says, it's hard to build a complete roster with a quarterback taking up a quarter or more of the cap space you have. And you know how I feel about Matt. Absolutely. And look, think about both times Matt signed his contract. Both times Matt signed his contract, the Falcon fan base, while maybe happy, especially the first contract. I don't know about the second one as much. First contract, everybody was happy. Look, the man had 5 straight years, just took you to the NFC Championship. Of course you were excited that you re-signed him to your team. Still young, still in his prime, and still put up the numbers. That's what Matt was always able to do, put up the numbers and do what he did. Now, by the time you got to the second contract, and Matt, with his contract for that moment, became the highest paid player for about a month or two before I think Aaron Rodgers signed the contract right after that or whatever it was. That's when you started realizing that, yeah, this is going to be a move of the future with these quarterbacks getting paid. I saw what Kyler Murray got, and I have to, for all of those people that are quick to say what you don't deserve, it's not a matter anymore of not being able to what they deserve. A lot of things have happened over the last 10 years. One, the collective bargaining agreement gives the players more money now. So that extra cut of the pie, which means when y'all hear those contracts on Fox and ABC and NBC and ESPN and those billions and billions of dollars that's coming to those owners, the players are getting bigger cuts. So while, yes, the quarterbacks who are the star of the team and the most important people on the team getting paid, these little ratios that Daniel was talking about are probably going to get bigger and bigger. We're on the verge of the first $50 million football player. We already got it in basketball, but Damian Lillard extended 2 years, $120 million. So don't look at it so much as if what you don't deserve. It's no different than if you're at work. You're being paid for your worth going forward. And the worth of the NFL quarterback, a decent NFL quarterback, is running about at the 30 to 35 to $40 million rate right now. Matt's contract looks like peanuts compared to what they are doing now. Matt and Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers could turn back the time and start getting some of this money right now. Oh my goodness. And Lamar Jackson, who was just sitting at home salivating at every contract he sees. It's just like, oh, Kyler, congratulations, Kyler. As a former MVP and took his team to the playoffs 3 out of his 4 years and all of that, and you're sitting here wondering how much he's going to get paid. Lamar about to get paid. He's probably going to get Deshaun Watson-ish type money. Guaranteed. So yeah, we gotta look at that. Rick says we need to see what the team is going to look like so we can know who and what to replace. I really believe we put a good football team together. I do too, Rick. What I saw last year was them just filling the roster. What I saw more this year, even in the draft, it seemed like they were strategically picking needs and getting solid needs in here. When I saw them get Rashawn Evans from Tennessee, I thought that was a really good something about that told me that's a low key really good move. What they thought they were going to get in Goodman from Goldman, I should say, from the Bears, that was a need. And for everybody who's tripping on that, and I heard some people, what's the punk's name in New Orleans? Cam Jordan. Let me tell y'all something. I'm so sick of Cam Jordan trolling. Cam Jordan ain't won jack. Cam Jordan be talking like he was on the Super Bowl team with Breeze. Cam Jordan act like he won the NFC Championship. Cam Jordan is a nice, very nice player. I'd take him in a heartbeat if he came to the Falcons. Very good player. But what has he done? He beats up on a under rostered Falcon team and actually didn't do it. When last time they swept us? They only swept us once in the last 3 years, right? Or 4 years. So it's not like they got this total dominance and he's the main reason. But anyway, go dialing it way back. That just makes me mad to hear him talk all that junk. Anyway, Rick, you're absolutely right. I do believe we got some good players put together. Maltavius says it's crazy. When Cincinnati played Georgia, I like Ritter's game. Since then, I had him on my radar. I predicted that we would draft him that night. Good call. Should have played Cash 3 that night. Rusty says they gave Ritter an 88 speed on Madden. I went to 2 NFC Championship games with Felipe as my quarterback last year. Y'all really in trouble this year. I see all the Madden stuff going on. I'm gonna have to we might have to get us a little ABG league, Atlanta Bird Gang League, and see what some of y'all up to, man. I am. There was a time pre-kids and early marriage where I was really into Madden as much because I had a little bit more free time. And now I don't get aside of my off days, and sometimes if I'm playing with my son with some 2K or something like that, but I don't get a chance to do it as much. But every year he gets Madden, so I'll get on with him. I think the last Madden game last year, the one with Brady and Mahomes, I think I might have played that maybe 2 times since he got it. So not that much. Gregory's with us on Uncle Steve's Lounge. What's going on, brother? Said Debo on the pup list. I think we're going to be a decent team. Our record wasn't supposed to be that good last season with less pieces than we have now. And the Debo question, I know a lot of people are down on Deion Jones. Deion Jones right now has got the highest single year salary on our team, and we have an opportunity to get out of that contract after this year. I would still keep Deion, though. If you really think about it, right now we're still under the salary cap, even with the big globs of dead cap space we have to pay back. Not pay back, that we have to account for. And Deion, look, has he had a couple of bad years? Yes. Has it seemed like his game is trending down? Yes. But right now, to find a quality wide receiver, a quality linebacker at this stage of the game is probably going to be pretty hard. And if you trade him, you're going to have to get somebody that's wanting to absorb a lot of that contract. I don't think you're going to get that many teams, especially somebody coming off an injury. I don't think you're going to get anybody that wants to zap up that contract this year. I don't think you will. I could be wrong. But if I were the Falcons, I would go ahead and ride it out this year with Debo, and then you can make a major decision at the end of the year, especially when you got the money situation to deal with. I would keep Debo. I don't know. One, I like him. I like Deion. I like him. He gave us some good years, the first 2 years or whatever. But I'd give him one more chance. Except I said number 2 was the rookie of the year. Folks who don't like him don't know football. I think I have given up on trying to convince people about what Matt Ryan brought to this team. And of course, when the season starts, my Matt Ryan dialogue will go down more and more. But yeah, Matt brought everything to this team the first 5 years. Matt was a baller, bro. Big time baller. Daniel says Grady, Jake, Debo, Terrell are the ones still here from Thomas Dimitrov. Yeah, but Terrell wasn't here for the Super Bowl. I was talking about the Super Bowl people who were still here, not so much for the other team. But that is telling that Terrell is the last one from Dimitrov because that was only 2 years ago. So that's pretty interesting in itself. Rick says 2 was good for his time, but this team needs an active quarterback now because it's been a while since we really had a good line. And Rick, if people could understand what we mean by an active quarterback, and I've gone as far because I know people. We have a tendency in this town when people say mobile quarterback, and you go to Mike Vick, which means black quarterback, and means all that, and that's not what we're talking about. Today's NFL quarterback is an athletic guy. And these days, to spare the offensive line from making perfect blocks, from making pancakes on every play, from being able, you have to have an athletic guy back there getting the ball. And this year, between Mariota, Ritter, and even Franks, you'll have some type of athleticism. I'm not here to tell you Matt Ryan couldn't run a yard, but he wasn't the most athletic guy with his legs. And if you're a quarterback in the league today, do you see what's going on the college level? The guys on the college level, now there was a time back in the 80s, and you start talking about Jamil Holloway and Tommy Frazier and some of these quarterbacks back then that really were athletic, but they didn't want to bring them to the next level. Well, now people are taking chances on those quarterbacks, and now they're starting in the NFL, and they're doing well. See Josh Allen, they're doing well. See Patrick Mahomes, they're doing well. See, my man just came out of my mouth with the contract. Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray. The list goes on and on. The days of Matt Ryan and Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger and all of that, I'm not saying there's not a place for the pocket quarterback, but it's slowly getting out of there. You've got to have folks that can move behind that line, people that can improvise, people that can break off plays and be able to say, woo, go downfield. Josh Allen, I'm convinced that Josh Allen, 40% of his passes are improvise. He improvises 40% of what he does because of his athletic ability. He can do that. And that's not a knock on Matt. That's just the way the league is going now. But you're right, Rick. Daniel says, I just hope Blank lets this regime build instead of hitting the reset button every 4 years or so. Well, I mean, I talked about this the last time we talked, and I know fans don't want to hear this, but last year, unfortunately, is kind of a bye year. You kind of had to give them a bye for last year. And because of the salary situation, if you guys remember, going into the business year 2021, they needed to be creative with Matt Ryan by restructuring, and they were trying to restructure Julio, but obviously we didn't know about the turmoil behind the scenes. But they had to do things in order to just make the payroll work. And we ended up picking up people like Eric Harris and saying, hey, after spending the last couple of years on special teams, now I need you to start. And other folks that we picked up along the way, 1-year players. So we had to do that in order to just function as a franchise last year. This year, as I said before, even in drafting, we were a little bit more deliberate about what we were doing and positions we were getting and some of the talent level that we're getting. It would have been so easy for us to pick a quarterback in the with that early pick this year, but we picked for need. And a lot of people didn't like that we picked Drake first. But guess what? Right after Drake left, the run on wide receivers. So if we didn't get a wide receiver in that first round, we probably wouldn't have been able to get one until the third round, the way the wide receivers were coming off the box. So give this front office some credit for truly in 2022 realizing exactly what your needs are. I think last year has to be a mulligan because you had to do things in order to have a functioning financial roster to play games. And we won 7 games with that dysfunctional roster. I don't know what else to say about it. End of the year, our slot receiver was our number 1 receiver. Jermaine says Brady got that guaranteed money waiting for him at Fox, man. I have a prediction about Tom Brady. And this is not wishing injury. This is not wishing ill. I don't think Tom Brady's going to finish the year. Y'all can say, y'all heard your uncle say it, July 24th. I don't think Tom Brady's going to finish the year. Whether it be via injury, whether it be via Giselle just saying, "Nah, bro, that's too many hits." I don't think Tom Brady's going to finish the year. You heard it here, and I'm going to leave it there. Daniel said, Jake, McGrady, Jake, Terrell, Debo, McGarry, Lindstrom were drafted by TD, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I forgot about the 2 guys. That's right. Daniel says Cam Jordan is average or a little above average. I say a little above average. He's a sack guy. I'm not saying. Look, my hate towards him is a Falcon fan, but if he came to the Falcons next year, I would immediately sign him up. Don't get it twisted. I wish we had the luxury tax like my Dodgers be having. The Dodgers, they get lucky inside everything. It's that false start. Yeah, he got battered in that playoff game against the Rams. I'm trying to tell you, man, listen, I think that's part of the reason Brady thought about leaving the first time. You say what you want to say, man. Listen, this is the first time we've seen a mid-40s quarterback go into the year and play a full 16 games. You can't tell me you don't feel those hits more. I don't care what kind of technology they got in the flat jacket. That's going to hurt. Because he got to play Aaron Donald again. He's got to play the Saints again. The Saints kill him all the time. And each year, I'm sorry, the pain doesn't get easier. The pain gets more sore. Trust me. I don't care what athlete, how much of an athlete you are. The older you get, the more it hurts. And the longer the recovery. I just got a sneaky suspicion, y'all. We can say what we want to say. Father Time is undefeated. I think right now they just giving Tom Brady a couple of little extra rounds, but nah. Wesley says Dion is playing out of position. He's a pass coverage linebacker who can occasionally rush the edge. This in the box Ray Lewis stuff they have him doing ain't his game. Well, and remember, I think that was really their intention for Foyer to hold that down. And I know Foyer, you got to take the money. But, yeah, Dion is probably playing out of position, I'm sure. Look, we're at a position where we just didn't have that guy yet. And Michael Walker might be somebody who might make Dion expendable. Sequel says, meanwhile, Matt Stafford just won the Super Bowl. Right. And listen, Matt Stafford, the last of the Mohicans. He's the last true drop back quarterback, probably. And even Matt Stafford has a little bit of athleticism. You say, Matt Stafford made the right move at the right time. But I'm going to be honest with you. If Matt Ryan went to the Rams, I think they would have won the Super Bowl. I think put 1/3 of quarterbacks on that Ram team, they go to the Super Bowl and win. Just to be honest. And Matt Stafford made a big difference in that position, but the core of the Rams is their defense. So you just needed somebody not to screw it up. So good move for the Rams to be able to do that. When they say blank them picks. Rusty said, I know I've said this before, but I think Arthur Smith seen the quarterback play that Buffalo Kansas City game in January, called Terry and said it's time for a change. Absolutely. Yeah, I can believe that. That was a great game. Rusty says, Cam Jordan is the definition of you hate him if he's on the other team. If you love him, he's on yours. Absolutely. I will take, again, while he's sitting over there representing the Bayou, I don't want nothing to do with him. I'll burn in every jersey he got. I'm speaking ill on him, and I'm calling him a front runner because he's one of the biggest front runners going. Didn't even make playoffs last year, yet want to troll the Falcons. How you going to troll the Falcons? You didn't even make the playoffs. And is this 2 years in a row? Or did they make the playoffs in 20? They probably made it in 20. But I know they didn't last long. Lynn, how you doing? Say, I'm ready for some football. Do you think these changes are going to help the bins fill up? Lynn, I was talking about it earlier, and I think having new faces and younger faces is gonna, the curiosity is gonna bring fans there. Now you have to back that up with good play, but I think having this quarterback competition between these guys, I think there's a curiosity with fans right now. We haven't had a quarterback competition since 2008. That's something to kind of go and be there and say, okay, I was there when Ritter had his breakout game, when Mariota truly won the game. And I also think, Liam, that that's going to continue through the year, because let's say Mariota falls flat on his face game one. Let's pray he doesn't, but let's say he does. You're also going to want to come back for game 3 or 4, because I think we go the West Coast after that, Rams and Seattle. But the next home game, you're going to want to come back and see, well, if Mariota is struggling, are you going to be there the day they have to replace him with Ritter? I mean, just a lot of curiosity as a fan this year. More than we have this stacked team. I think it's just we are so different. It'll be interesting to see how we're going to mesh. So as a fan, I think that's something to look forward to, in my opinion. I look forward to that. Lisa says, do you think Dennis Allen will be successful as a rookie head coach with the Aints? I do not. And I'm going to tell you why. This doesn't have anything to do with my pure, unadulterated hate for the Saints. Sean Payton was the biggest bully on the block. Now, you talk about somebody that I'm mad, but he did whoop our behind 2 out of every 3 games. Sean Payton, and it doesn't take a genius to figure this out. The year Sean Payton wasn't there, the year they got in trouble for the Bounty Gate stuff, they sucked that year, even with Breeze. Sean Payton might be one of the top 3 coaches in the NFL. If y'all remember the year we went to the Super Bowl, that was the year Saints were downtrodden. I think Michael Thomas, that was his rookie year. I forgot who else is on the team. It was a couple of guys on that team. And then the next year, Sean Payton had like the best draft in the history of the world at all positions. All those guys played. And I think they won the division in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. I know all of us ended up in the South. I think we all ended up 10-6, right? It was either something like that. But Sean Payton is a great coach. And Sean Payton also kind of had those guys playing with a chip on their shoulders. Like they were the bullies of the NFC South. Even when Ron Rivera was at Carolina, you never really got that feeling that Carolina was that, like, oh no, Carolina. Even when Cam was in his prime. But New Orleans were the bullies. And I think the architect of those bully teams was Sean Payton. I don't think Dennis Allen has that ability. And it'll show soon. Because Dennis Allen, trust me, he's on the clock too. Because if you go to Atlanta and lose a game to the allegedly lowly Falcons at the beginning, he's going to have a tough one. Big time. My brother Ricky, what is going on, man? Ricky said, first, let me say we are being severely disrespected. They have the Jets, who are atrocious, on point to win more games than us, man. Dude, it is so... I saw the ratings, and I want to say on ESPN, and I can't remember. I think they were talking about just total roster. They had the Falcons at number 32. In case y'all don't remember, there are only 32 teams in the NFL. So there aren't a lot of folks, and ESPN is full of former football executives, former players, and all of that stuff. So none of those folks have any type of thought that the Falcons are going to be good this year. They see Marcus Mariota and it turns into a joke. They see Desmond Ridder and it turns into a joke. So this is, if you're the Falcons, and especially if you're those middling veterans, if you're the Rashad Evans, if you're the Edwards, if you're Hayward, if you're guys like that you say, wait a minute, now we came here on some good contracts, so we can still play ball. And you see all these prognostications, and you're seeing them saying you're the 32nd ranked team out of 32. That would give me motivation. Rick says it's been a long time. Yeah, Sickle says before last year, the Aints won the division 4 years straight. It's it's time for us to take over this division. We've never won the divisions 2 years in a row in history. It's time to dominate this division. I agree. And while everybody is still thinking about the defense of the Saints and the myth of Sean Payton and what's going on around there, I mean, you just got to remember, again, the Saints didn't win. The Saints didn't make the playoffs last year. And remember, again, we beat the Saints once last year. Saints didn't sweep us last year. We were going for the sweep last year. We went to their place and beat them. So there is no fear of the Saints coming in here. There's really not. The only thing we're worried about is ourselves coming into this year. Rusty says Payton was an offensive mastermind, especially with Drew at quarterback. Dennis Allen and Jameis don't scare me at all. Yeah, and Jameis, who definitely had a nice start to last year. I'm trying to tell you, man. Look, he's coming off that ACL, and yeah, Jameis ain't never been the most mobile guy in the world. He's athletic too. Don't get me wrong. He can get some, but yeah, you see how he's gonna run around on that leg. Hopefully he'll come back. I want him to be healthy, but at the same time, I don't know. Ricky says, I mean, they're not taking into consideration the draft, coaching, returning players, and nothing. This is one of those chip on your shoulder type years for the Falcons, bro. And we talked about that early on, Rick, where all the motivation that you want, if you're the Atlanta Falcons, if you're Arthur Smith, all you gotta do is just go to these books right here. Well, not the college football book. Go to the pro football. Now, this is the book I wanted to spotlight, and this is the Athlon book. Now, I went through here, and in this book, they rate where they thought where the Falcons would be. I'm trying to pull it up for y'all. Okay, this is the NFC predictions for you. I'm trying to show, and I know it's hard with the camera and whatever. So in the corner right here, you see NFC South, you see Atlanta in fourth. And then they say the Falcons have some nice weapons in Cordero Patterson and Kyle Pitts. That's the best they can say. But then as you look over here in this other little corner, they say NFC power rankings. There are 16 teams in the NFC. Uh-oh, turn this way. Do you see where Atlanta is? If I could get this right. There are 16 teams in the NFC. They say Seattle's better. They say Carolina's better. They say the Giants are better. They say Chicago is better. They say Detroit is better. They say Washington is better. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know what that's just crazy to me. They think Washington, Detroit, Chicago, Giants, Carolina, Seattle are better than our Falcons. That's crazy. He said, no Kamara and Crab legs hurt. We should beat them. I forgot. Kamara is probably not going to be in that first game either. That's going to be a big deal. Because Kamara's half their team unless they're going to line up Taysom Hill back there in the back. Ricky says, ain't nothing about the he said nothing about the New Orleans Skanks says winner this year. Oh man. Ricky said, how can you say the Panthers are better with both quarterbacks being garbage? Again, that's the disrespect that our team is getting this year. So I rewind this all the way back to my friend Brandon, who started talking about blind faith and whatever. When I start thinking about, I don't think I have to have a lot of blind faith to think that the rest of our team by itself should be better than Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold or whoever's going to end up on that team. Anybody Detroit is putting out there. It's just amazing to me that they actually think we're going to be that bad. So I look forward to, the debate with folks about who's going to be better and how this is going to end up turning out. But I'm here to tell you, I think we're going to have a lot better season than people think. I think we're going to be very competitive this year. I'm not here to sit here and predict double-digit wins and stuff like that. I think when you have a young team and a team that hasn't been together a lot, that you're going to have some misses along the way. But I still think this team has the ability to really compete. Ricky says, are you buying this Garoppolo mess with a trade? Man, listen. If we were going to make a trade with somebody, at least, again, I know in retrospect with all the stuff that happened, I get it. But at least you were shooting for the stars with Deshaun Watson. If you were going to try to do that. All other stuff aside, so don't come bombarding me with, but he was getting happy at this. I'm not talking about all that. I'm saying from a standpoint of a talented quarterback, at least they were shooting their shot. to try to get one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Jimmy Garoppolo, unfortunately, and also looking down the line, um, I just don't think it would do any good. I would rather sign a journeyman quarterback at this point if you really feel what you have in your house is not working. But I think, to be honest, I think this is going to be a very competitive, and I don't want to sleep on what Felipe Franks could mean to this team. To have an emergency quarterback, y'all, is going to be a big deal. Listen to what I said. I said emergency quarterback. I didn't say projected him to start. I said emergency quarterback. Second one said, "What's the name of that book you held up on?" This is the Athlon Sports. Go to any Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, anything like that. It's actually really good. If you do fantasy football, they have a fantasy section. They pretty much preview every team. Let me show you real quick the Atlanta page here, and this is after the draft. This came out after the draft. So they do a really good job of kind of the post draft analysis of what's going on. They have the schedule down here for the Falcons. I know you can't see because of the light. Got the schedule, a lot of predictions. They go through each position group and say what they think. So it's a really, really good book. And if you like that, I also suggest Lindy's as well. Lindy's has a really good book, a really good magazines. I get these every year. And what I like to do is I like to get them and then at the end of the year, see how they held up. I know last year they predicted the Falcons. A lot of people predicted us to be 3-14 and stuff like that. We end up 7-10. Nothing to celebrate, but at the same time, a little bit better than they thought. So I don't know. Ricky says, "I don't buy that we're going to get 4 to 6 wins this year out of 17. Man, miss me with that." Hey, man, I'm going by the book, bro. Don't jump on me. But that's what. But we also have to remember, from a Falcon standpoint, the most relevance we've had in the last 5 years is 28-3. Let's just call it what it is, y'all. There isn't a buzz for this team. There isn't a excitement for this team. When you talk about buzz teams right now, Cincinnati, the Chargers didn't even make the playoffs. They're a buzz team. Arizona didn't make the playoffs. They're a buzz team. Going to the West, Denver's a buzz team with Russell Wilson. There is nothing about the Atlanta Falcons from a national spotlight that makes us exciting to talk about. So it's easy to put us number 16 on one of these lists. It's easy to doubt us on a lot of these things because, folks don't want to put in the work. It's lazy. Sometimes it's lazy, but they don't even care. All they care is about the perennial foes. Whatever team Tom Brady's on, Green Bay, Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys can be 2-15, and they'll have a 10-page book on how Jerry Jones did something stupid just because it's the Dallas Cowboys. We don't have that buzz right now. And you think about it, even when Matt Ryan came back and took us to different heights as a team, when he did that, we still didn't have the buzz that year. That year we went 13-3 the first time when Aaron Rodgers came in here and ran all over us. Everybody was like, they're not going to do much. And they were right. Then by the time you got to, by the time you got to the other part of it with the other NFC Championship game against Frisco, then everybody was giving us a fighting chance. I love this now. I don't know what happened with my computer, but all of a sudden now the comments are coming up. So I'm glad that just showed. Sorry about that. I have no idea why that just popped in. What's this, Steve? Did you catch Tidy throwing some shade at Freeman earlier in his live? You might want to buy a lottery ticket tonight. Yeah, that. Let me tell you something. That he gonna hold a flame for Freeman for the rest of his career, man. We ought to try to interview him one day just to bring him in here, because oh man, he gave us one good year. I give him that. That's about it. Ricky said they crazy if they think we're the worst team without Matt Ryan. Truth be told, we left 3-4 games on the table last year on the arms and decisions of Matt Ryan. Once again, missed me with that. I can think of a couple of games right off the bat. I know we lost the Tampa game because of his arm. I think we lost Buffalo because of his arm and unsportsmanlike conduct, if y'all remember. It was another game we lost. Oh, the Commanders. We lost that game because of that. So just, yeah, man, it's, yeah. People are going to have their opinions. I can't, I don't want to be too mad at folks, but yeah, it's going to be hard to, it's going to be hard to kind of, it's going to be hard to show people that the Falcons are, I won't say serious threat, but are a real viable threat to beat their team this year. All I know is we're not the 16th ranked team in the NFC. I do know that. That's crazy. Rick says it's going to be interesting this year because Brady ain't got his safety valve in Gronk. Chris Godwin is coming off a major injury. Fournette is overweight. They still have a few holes in the defense, and Todd Bowles wasn't anointed coach of the year either. That Todd Bowles thing is going to be kind of interesting, man, because I know a lot of people are looking on the right side of it. Black man getting the opportunity to head coach, and I get all of that, and that's good. More power to you, Wakanda. But at the same time, I do feel like, yeah, Todd Bowles, yeah, I know he didn't have the talent in New York, but Todd Bowles made some interesting decisions when he was up there too. So I don't know. Let's see how this thing is going to end up working out. To your point, with Gronk not being there, I think that makes a difference. But Tom Brady has a way of making scrubs players, so who knows? He got his little Scotty Millers and little folks like that, the Julian Edelman-esque type folks that he makes heroes. So I don't doubt Tom Brady if he's upright, but we'll see. Lisa says those back-to-back pick six. Yes. That was those were killers. And you think about that. We had them in a really good position that game. We really did. You know. Ricky says, so Tampa Bay is not a real threat in the NFC. Oh, no, I didn't say they weren't a threat. I'm just saying that I don't think they are as, I don't think they're as potent as people might say. They're playing in a very weak NFC South. Let's keep that real. Our division arguably might be the most competitive, which is a nice way of saying maybe the weakest division going right now. Maybe the NFC East could be close, depending on what Philly does this year. If they can repeat what they did last year, I don't know. We'll see. They made some pretty good moves. But right now, I'm looking at the South as it's going to be tough for more than one team to come out of the South because I think the West is loaded. Because I think Frisco, quite honestly, I think Frisco and the Rams are the best two teams in the NFC, and they just happen to be in the same division. Rusty says Brady's heart is not in it. His boyfriend Gronk ain't there. And dude's coming into camp overweight by 30 pounds. I agree 100% with your statement about TV not finishing the year. Something seems off. And think about it too, Rusty. Tom Brady, who has never been anyone that I would say you would think that would go back on something. The fact that he even thought about retiring first and now coming back, there's something to be said about that. I think it's something else going on behind the scenes. I'm not trying to say there's trouble at home or anything like that, but I think Giselle might have. I don't know. I'm wondering if she's super happy about him going back out there on the field. You think about it, he in his mid 40s, man, and them kids getting older. And she's probably like, yeah, bro, I don't want to be feeding you through a tube while these kids taking care of you. I don't want to see you up here like Earl Campbell, barely staggering to the floor. Ricky says, I think that Arians will be pulling the strings when they come to come. Nah, I think he's done. I think he's done. I think he's done. I don't think he's gonna be able to do that. I think they're gonna give Bowles the strings. He said Matt almost gave the Giants game away. He did almost. You're absolutely right. But the safety dropped the pick. The second Saints game comes to mind where Matt had protection and started tripping over his own feet. Yeah, that Saints kind of beat us up on that game, though. I must admit, I think that was probably a clear win. Rumors were Tampa Bay and Arians. Tom Brady and Arians did not get along. Guaranteed the GM called Tom Brady and said, hey, if you come back, we'll move Bruce Arians to the front office. And it might have been. I think that it's going to be hard for anybody in the front office to pull on the field things from their office. I think if Todd Bowles has the job, I think he's going to have the job. I don't think Arians is going to have that type of autonomy as far as calling plays out there. Ricky said our division could potentially be up for grabs by week 12. And it all depends on how Tampa Bay turns out. If Tampa Bay is struggling, that thing going to be totally up for grabs. And with all the things you guys mentioned about Tampa, I mean, that could happen. So I don't doubt that one bit. Dave, what's going on, man? Dave, listening to us on Uncle Steve's Lounge. Again, y'all make sure y'all tell everybody, especially going into the year. We're gonna have going into the preseason, y'all. We're gonna get some strong things on here so we can get everybody kind of acclimated into the season. And I honestly just want to be able to push some stuff and content on the channel so you guys can have some more stuff to talk about, not only Atlanta Falcons, but Atlanta sports, period, as we go into the second half of the Braves, the advent of the new Murray, Trae Young duo in the back, just to be able to talk about some more stuff. The defending champion Georgia Bulldogs, who made another top 300 signing this week. So got a lot of stuff in sports we want to talk about. And I feel like I can definitely talk a little bit more about it in the lounge. In the Atlanta Bird game, we try to keep it Falcons, but click over there so we can talk some more about that. Rusty says, agree. Something seemed weird about the whole retirement thing. And he's really, there's just something that just seemed off about it for him to just come back like that. Now, maybe the way, if y'all remember how the news came out, remember the word leaked out and then he waited about a day and then like 2 days later, he officially announced he was coming out. Maybe he didn't like that he didn't go out on his terms. I haven't heard him say anything about this being a farewell season yet or anything, but I clearly think one way or the other, I don't think you're going to see him past 2022. And so the Tampa Bay better enjoy all they're getting out of him right now because Tampa Bay fans, I should say, because you're not going to get much. Gregory says, Hates catch hell anyway. Kamara definitely getting suspended. Yeah, the Kamara thing, they were talking about that on ESPN. These decisions about Kamara and Deshaun Watson, they're going to come down soon because training camps are starting up. And remember, there are only 3 preseason games this year for each team, aside of who's playing in the Hall of Fame game. The Hall of Fame game is next Thursday, y'all. We are almost there. I know high schools will probably be starting up in it pretty soon, so we'll see. Rusty says, Steve, I remember week 2 last year against Tampa, you were doing a live video. I sure was. During the game of your reaction. That was dope. You should try that again this year in game. Listen, I'm going to try to do that, and I appreciate that, Rusty. I'm actually going to do that on away games. So for those of you who do remember, and thank you, Rusty, for bringing that up, we did a live reaction game last year in Tampa. There were a couple of weeks I wasn't able to get here in time to start, and I would have hated to start like in the second quarter or something like that. But my intentions are this year to do live reaction games so I can get you all's reaction as we going. I know a lot of you are in a lot of groups on Facebook that can, you can put your comments down. And I, by no means would I mean to take away from anything they're doing at Atlanta Bird game, obviously, because I want the love to be there. Sean Glover does a great job of putting up the streams for us this year. But just to have an alternative, and y'all got different devices anyway. Put one on one and one on the other, and you can still watch the game. This whole social media thing is great because you're able to interact with different people at different times. So if you all this year will do some live reaction, I might even try to do one of the preseason games this year as well. So stay tuned for that. But thanks, Rusty, for throwing that back out there. I do plan on doing that this year. So the Saints put the slant Prince and they're starting Davenport on the pup list. Yeah, man. Michael Thomas, he's back, we think. And let's see you, let's see if we can get into what they're going to do this year at that wide receiver position. They did draft a wide receiver too, so the Saints could be up to some good stuff this year for their team. Ricky says Brady already under contract for Fox when he retires. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to be ready to get that money. It's kind of interesting to me that Drew Brees walked away from the money. That was kind of a surprise, right? Drew walking away from it. What is he going to do now? Because, there were rumors that he was going to try to come back to the Saints, which I think would have been dumb for him to try to do that. So I don't know. But yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting move to see what he does next. Ricky says he said he didn't have the time to spend with his family. Yeah, maybe so. And maybe so. And that's one of the things, it's kind of interesting you say that about Breeze. That's why I think with Brady, you gotta think about what his kids. I mean, them boys, man. Shoot. Giselle, like, hold on, bro. You gotta come home with that. They coming to see you at the game every year, and then you in the pool, in the hot tub. You need to be out here playing football with these boys. Ricky says, yeah, right. Breeze trying to get the rest of that hair crafted into the funniest stuff. Oh man. And I think Breeze did a decent job last year on NBC. I think he did an okay job. I don't think he was Tony Romo or anybody like that, but I think he did a pretty decent job when he was out there, if you ask me. Semqua says, famous Jameis crab legs Winston will throw us a couple of picks. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting. Listen, they still haven't committed long-term to Jameis yet. So Jameis is still fighting for a job. New Orleans, think about that. New Orleans has not committed long-term to him. They don't have any options. So who knows if Jameis doesn't come through last year, they might end up trying to get one of these picks in the draft, one of these quarterbacks. I'm kind of surprised they didn't think about doing it this year. Because Jameis came out of that same draft with Marcus Mariota. I mean, that was just a snake bit year that year. Ricky said we can count on famous Jameis to give us 9 picks this year. Look, again, game one might be interesting just for the mere fact that they don't have Kamara, and Kamara by far is one of the top 3 or 4 running backs in the league. He can catch out of the backfield. He can run the ball. I know they probably have some other people that can do that, but not on the level that Kamara can. So it's not going to hurt my feelings if Kamara is not in there. So, what's going on, my friend? It said, what's good, Steve? They sleeping on this team and do in so many ways. I've tried to say it a lot of times. I think this might be a surprising team. And again, when I say that to y'all, don't think I'm trying to tell you to go to Vegas and spend $500 on them. But I will say this. I made one bet that I'm kind of proud of, and I'm going to show y'all that because I'm an inclusive type of guy. So we did do this. When I went to Vegas with my beautiful wife a few weeks ago, we did make one bet that I am proud of, and that is, hold on, where is it? It's actually a couple of bets that I made on here. I'll see if y'all can see. You can't see it. I'm sorry. I know I'm trying to be open with y'all, but I don't think you can see it. Let's go back. So I got the Atlanta Falcons. I took a bet of the Atlanta Falcons to cover the over of 4.5 games this year. Because I think the Falcons can win 4.5 games. I think they can win 5 games this year. I also took the Falcons against the Saints. When I went back on June 26th, they're giving the Falcons 4 points. So I do think it's going to be a close game. So even if, unfortunately, the Saints do beat us, I don't think it'll be by more than a field goal. So if we can stay in that same category, I think we'll be fine. So we'll see how that goes out. Ricky says, what team in their right minds would commit long-term to famous Jameis? He's the only quarterback in history to go throw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. He's a 50% quarterback 100% of the time. Oh, listen, I'm not trying to sell them on him. I guess my point was that ought to tell people. There are a lot of people that's acting like Jameis is going to be all of that. But I'm saying to myself, yeah, but New Orleans hasn't, committed to him. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure how much he's making this year. He might be making $20 million, but I don't know. I think Taysom Hill make more than him at this point. Gatsboy said this is the worst roster, but they say this is the worst roster, but we upgraded every position. We traded Ryan and had Franks as the only quarterback. And we were talking about that earlier, how a lot of people are underestimating the moves we made from 21 to 22. I think we're based a lot of outside folks, a lot of media that doesn't pay attention to Atlanta. They're looking at what we had last year. They're looking at Russell Gage on there as our first receiver. They were looking at absolutely nobody behind Patterson. They were looking at a defense that was full of young boys out there for the first time, and Dean Pease being forced to play in defenses that he had to play because everybody wasn't up to snuff yet on a lot of the schemes. So this year, he's even said he's ready this year. The offensive line, listen, as horrid as we looked last year, I would think you couldn't get any worse. So let's hope we got some improvement there. Wide receivers, same thing. You can't get much worse than the production we got last year. And if we can get any kind of love on the wide receiver to just take the pressure off of Kyle Pitts, oh man, Let's see what that young man can do with a little bit of room. Simple says, famous Jameis and Super Mariota in the same boat. Got to prove your previous draft positions. You think about it. They're going to be, you ever see those, Simple, you ever see those specials that they have, the 30 for 30 or whatever? 5-10 years from now, they're going to be, when they facing each other in the chair talking about, yeah, man, we were the top 2 guys in the draft. And look at us now. And they're far from Josh Rosen land, where Josh Rosen is going on his 16 in 5 years, 16 in 5 years, with his famous "they're gonna all pay" sign, and now he's with, who is he with? Cleveland, I think Cleveland. So, oh man, haven't heard from Quintez in a while, and didn't know if it's good. You know what? That's a good point. I gotta yeah, anybody heard from Q? Let us know. I'm hoping most of our guys get a chance to come back around football season, but no, I haven't heard. Ricky says, and P says he was only playing 60% of the defensive calls last year. Can you imagine 100% of the defense? And that's my point. He said that, and if y'all remember when he had the little hostile back and forth with Hugh Douglas and on the radio about what they were criticizing him about and stuff like that. I think that's where he was going. It was one of the press conferences where he basically said, I can't play the defenses I want to play because I'll be putting these guys in a bad position because they don't know it yet. You got to remember, by NFL rules, you can't practice except for those allotted times. You got the 2-week little camp in the summertime, the OTAs, you got the little mini rookie camp, and then you got training camp coming up right now. So you didn't have a lot of opportunity to get it. You got a chance for these guys to kind of get in the mix with you. So because of that, I think, let's give him a chance to see what he can do and what he can do once he can get that going. So yeah, we'll see. But I just feel like this year, y'all, I think we're gonna have a really good year. I think it's gonna be more exciting. I want the fans. Listen, it's okay to be critical. I'm one of the main ones. I'll be very critical, but let's be positive, man. The positivity level, man. We've got to get behind these guys. We've got to, because there's not anybody else that's going to be rooting for this thing. And don't you want to be that person on the other side for a change of the "I told you so"? I told you these Falcons were going to be all of that. And I think that's what I'm going to look forward to this year. I have been on here for about 2 hours. I said I was going to give about an hour today. You all have been so awesome, especially on Uncle Steve's Lounge. Thank you so much. Thank you all you guys that have been coming on today. Gats Boy, False Start, Dave, just everybody, Gregory, everybody that's been on, all the people in APG. Y'all know I got love for y'all. Appreciate it. We'll try to get on here. I know during the regular season, I think we're going to go back to the Sunday, Monday format. I know we're going to do Sundays, and as Rusty just talked about, we're going to try to do some live game reactions. We're going to try to do that this year. And then also, we're going to do the after game, 7 o'clock, come in at 7 o'clock after most of the games have been played, and then recap. And then on Monday, go back to Monday morning mayhem or madness, or what we used to call it, and talk about things for the week and going into the next week. So then, man, y'all have a great Sunday. Y'all pray for your boy. Hopefully we get us a negative test tomorrow so I can get back to work and get back out here in the land of the living. Until then, man, y'all take care. Have a beautiful Sunday. Have a great rest of the week. And take care of yourself. Go Falcons. Appreciate you. Peace.